The 49ers agreed to a restructured one-year contract that is worth $6.5 million and is a fully guaranteed base salary to Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, playtime bonuses could increase Jimmy G's earnings to $16 million. And this was good for the Niners and Jimmy G, right? You know, the Niners have the best backup quarterback in the NFL.
Sure. Literally.
And Jimmy Garoppolo, had he not accepted this, would have been cut. He only had $2 million in guaranteed money anyway, and now he gets $6 million guaranteed, which is probably what he was going to get in open market. Now, what do you think this means for Trey Lance, Joe? 'Cause I know you don't think it means much.
I've been excited for this topic for days, ever since the news really broke. Do you guys want to play a game with me?
Yeah.
Dude, you want to play a game?
Hell yeah.
Like, my favorite thing to do, we talk about on the Patreon, I wanted to be a GM, right? Like, that was my life goal. Like, I would love to be a GM one day. That'd be tough. So when I was doing my notes for the show, I was thinking, all right, let me put myself in John Lynch's shoes, right? Go through all of the situations that happened up to it and, like, what decision would I come through to Jimmy G? So just to set up the scene real quick, you know, you had last season, which was a success, right? You go to the NFC Championship game. This is the second time in 3 years you make it this far. Jimmy G's your guy. The Niners look great. Wasn't because of Jimmy G. Let's get that out of the way right away, right? They had 3 games in the playoffs. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns. There was only 1 game he threw for more than 200 yards. There was only 1 game he even threw for a passing touchdown. So this was not because of Jimmy G. This was in spite of Jimmy G. And regardless, he made it to the NFC Championship game, so people are going to talk about him and how much he wins and all of that. But now in the offseason...
No, he's right.
Where's the game?
What?
You said we're playing a game.
I'm setting up the scene.
Oh, okay.
I'm setting up the scene.
Fuck.
This is the guy, right? This is our guy
I
right
was
now.
waiting for so long.
I was going to say, I'm setting up the scene. We're gonna get into it. So now it's the offseason, right? You're John Lynch. You're starting, or you're expecting to start Lance. You haven't said anything yet, but now your guy, Jimmy Garoppolo, he needs shoulder surgery. Your season ended in January. For whatever reason, he waited till March to get the surgery.
Idiot.
So it's kind of weird. He's not going to be ready for training camp, so... He's not going to be able, if you want to do any new offensive installs or anything like that, it's going to be hard to trade him because he's not ready in mini camp or training camp. So it's hard for teams to want to trade for him because you can't have your starting quarterback on the field, right? So that's difficult. And then later on in the offseason, your head coach, who you love dearly, Shanahan, he's the guy, you know, no matter what. Lance is our starter. He's the guy. Bet. We know we're going forward with Lance. He made that very clear before training camp even started. Lance has taken every snap with the ones.
Jimmy G is never playing a snap for the Niners ever again?
I'm not
They
sure.
said something around that line?
They did ask him, why is Jimmy G listed on the depth chart? He said, because we have to. So that was interesting. They were listed like 3rd or 4th. But now Lance has taken every snap with the ones in the camp in the preseason, right? So you have all this information here, and now you're the GM. So we have 3 choices here, fellas. I would like to know which ones you guys would go with.
I'm waiting for this, man.
You have 3 choices. The first choice is to trade him. At any time during this, you could. But remember, he had shoulder surgery. He cannot play. He's not going to be on the field. He is rehabbing. If you have a new coach, new offense, you can't do any new plays. If you do want to trade for him, there's one trade partner. It's your division rival. It's the Seahawks. You play week 2, by the way. You have to see Jimmy G twice this year. A huge upgrade over Drew Lock or Geno Smith. So you could trade him. Movable contract. Not a lot of guaranteed money. You could also release him. You save $25 million in cap space if you do this. But he'll probably go to those division rival Seattle Seahawks. Don't know if I want to do that. Your third option, you could restructure the deal, right? Okay, let's think about this real quick. His base salary was $24 million before the restructure. Goes down to $6 million. That's the same as Teddy Bridgewater.
He didn't have guaranteed money anyway, though.
$2 million, yeah. $2 million guaranteed.
He just had $2 million guaranteed.
He's making the same as Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum, and Tyrod Taylor. You're paying him as a backup. He gets to stay on the team. He gets to be a veteran presence. And your starting quarterback, Trey Lance, said, this is the best case scenario, man. He helped me out a ton last year. He's going to help me out a ton this year. So you guys are in the GM chair. Which would you do? Trade him, release him, restructure, and have him be the best backup
ask one
quarterback?
question to the game?
Yes.
Well, are they going to trade me like a 1st-round pick or a 2nd-round pick?
You were getting a 5th, maybe.
Oh, no. Fuck it. So I'll restructure.
nothing.
Yeah, I'm restructuring, and he'll stay on the team. Me personally.
You restructure. However, I told you this already. I'm a believer in Trey Lance and him being really good. But the fact that they decided to keep Jimmy G and pay money for the highest paid backup in the league.
And $6 million.
Regardless, you're still the highest paid backup in the league.
Tyrod Taylor's 6.5. Case Keenum's $6 million. Tyrod's 5.5.
What's his salary for the next season? For this upcoming
one-year
season?
deal.
For this season?
Oh,
Or is
just-
that next season?
No,
because he's
Garoppolo-
still in the
$6 million
contract.
guaranteed.
Just this year. Garoppolo is not signed in
Wait,
23.
does Tyrod have $6 million guaranteed? Or is that just the...
I think that's just, but he's going to be on the team the whole year. He's going to get $6 million.
No, because there could be playtime.
I guess there could be some incentives. I have his base salary at 6. I could be off.
All right.
I just think that with that being said, it just leaves very minimal room for error if you're Trey Lance, especially if Garoppolo's on.
I just add
on
one
the
thing.
team.
This is a Super Bowl contending team. If you don't have Jimmy G, your backup is Nate Sudfeld, 37 career NFL passes. So if Trey Lance goes down to injury, this is what you're stuck with.
Because Garoppolo was definitely banged up towards the back end of the last season, and they said Trey Lance, no.
Well, Garoppolo was healthy enough to start.
Yeah, but I mean, did he look good when he did that?
No, they still won with him not looking good.
I mean, that's a testament to the Niners more so than Jimmy G.
Agreed.
Now,
But if Lance was like that, maybe they would have given him a shot.
one of the points you brought up were, do I want to trade him to my division rival? Trade him there. We'll kick their ass anyway.
I
they
agree.
suck.
I agree.
The Seahawks suck. And Jimmy Garoppolo with Jimmy G, with no Jimmy G, they're still going to lose a shit ton of games. It doesn't matter for me. It does nothing for me. The fact that this includes a no trade clause and a no tag clause, or no trade clause specifically, is an eye opener. I understand why they'd keep Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, they're 8-28 when a quarterback not named Jimmy G starts for Kyle Shanahan. They're 35-16 with him. The reason why I don't like this is because, well, Shanahan and John Lynch knew about Jimmy G's surgery in May and August, and all along they've been saying he's not going to be on the team. In May, Shanahan said, I expect that sometime, most likely, he'll be traded, but who knows. In July, had an awesome run with Jimmy. It was great. But when you bring in the salary cap and things like that, there's just so many tough decisions you have to make. We made that decision a year ago. So they said this decision was made that Jimmy G was gone a year ago. Then in late July, Kyle Shanahan said Jimmy will be in a good spot, most likely somewhere else. All of these signs are pointing to Jimmy G not being on the team. Jimmy Garoppolo in July. The 49ers are not dumb. I think they knew teams wouldn't want to be interested in Jimmy G because he couldn't practice. But Jimmy Garoppolo in July, when he was cleared to practice, didn't practice for the Niners, didn't attend meetings.
I should tell you what the thing about Trey Lance.
It wasn't even, they didn't even really embrace him into the team even when he was cleared. Then in August, he was placed 4th on the depth chart. Well, he was in late July, he's also placed 4th on the depth chart. You already said it. Shanahan said he's only on there because he needs to be. He was already gone. Then in August 9th, he said that August 9th. Kyle Shanahan all along have said Trey Lance is the only guy, and Jimmy G was most likely getting traded. So in my head, what changed? Was it because they all of a sudden came to a realization that they couldn't trade Jimmy Garoppolo? I feel like they've known that for months. The trade market has been like that for months. It wasn't going to change from that point to this point. Now, they're bringing Jimmy Garoppolo in. And is having a backup quarterback good? Yes, it is. With the guys you named, Tyrod Taylor, what has he done in his career?
It's been good.
He's done nothing.
Good. Jesus Christ.
What is Case Keenum?
When he was a starter in Buffalo, he was good.
He was all right.
What has Case Keenum done?
He was a Pro Bowler.
Playoff win Case
When does
Keenum.
that mean anything?
Playoff win Case Keenum. He did years ago with Minnesota. We know he's a backup.
He's been ass now.
Are these guys not some of the best backups in the league?
What I'm saying
what
is
does
that
this mean,
you're not getting what I'm saying.
He's a backup.
Jimmy Garoppolo with this current team made a Super Bowl and made an NFC championship.
Second run was not because of him.
Hell no.
The first one wasn't either. This feels a lot like the Eagles with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles.
Except
the difference
the
is
Eagles made the wrong move.
Nick Foles won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think it was both the wrong move.
They were both the wrong move. But what did the Eagles do to reassure their young quarterback? Extension, Foles, you're out.
Foles was a
Wait,
free
what do you
agent.
mean both were the wrong move?
They didn't extend him, though. They didn't want to bring him back.
Can I
He was
ask
a
you,
free agent.
what was both
You would
the
have
wrong
to pay
move?
him multiple years. This was a 1-year deal for Jimmy G. He's gone after this year.
But what I'm saying is that they ultimately, after that Super Bowl run, they gave the Carson Wentz the reassurance that you're our guy.
They actually think they might have paid him that year.
They paid Carson Wentz right after the Super Bowl win.
Yeah, facts.
Right after.
Well, Lance isn't eligible for a contract.
But that's what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that they paid the guy that didn't win you a Super Bowl because they trust in their young quarterback. They trust that you're going to be the guy going forward. If the 49ers had so much belief in Trey Lance, and I mean, there's no doubt he's going to be a superstar. Like, they see it. It's vivid. It's apparent. Jimmy Garoppolo's gone. The reason why, yes, injuries do play a part. The 49ers could be thinking, if Trey Lance gets injured, we have Jimmy G. But you know what I think they're actually thinking? Well, in training camp, Trey Lance has been up and down this entire summer. He's been inconsistent. In preseason, the game versus the Packers, I know he didn't throw many passes, but he did miss some routine throws, and versus the Texans, pressure was getting home, so he wasn't going to look good regardless. I think the Niners are looking at this like, man, if Trey Lance goes on a 4-game slump, Jimmy Garoppolo could step in.
It's true.
And
He's not.
Now, having Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster now opens the door for that
But what does that
controversy.
do for your young quarterback, though?
No, but it's not great for his mentality.
And now,
Exactly.
if you are
Like, if
constantly
you're
looking
Lance, dude,
over
you're happy
my
about
shoulder,
this, keep it a stack.
That shit knocks your confidence.
To the media, you say, "Oh, this is great." Inside, I'm like, "All right, like, you traded 3 firsts. You traded 3 firsts for him."
Okay, that has
Moved up
nothing to
number
do with
3?
anything.
No,
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 let-
that
let me
means
ask
a
you-
lot.
let me
It
ask
knocks
you
your
this.
confidence,
If,
though,
not the,
definitely.
if Trey Lance is a 3rd-round draft pick, this isn't a conversation.
But absolutely no one is saying that Trey Lance doesn't have supporting of the franchise.
Okay.
But we're saying is if Trey Lance sucks, you're telling me that you don't even think a little bit that Jimmy G is going to come in and play?
He would have to be really bad.
Okay, but that's
what if he
exactly
throws
what
three?
I'm saying.
What if he throws 3 picks in a game?
In one game, you start him the next week.
You have
What if
to.
he throws 2 picks the next game?
You
Still
start him.
start him.
Yeah, he
If
would have
you-
to suck for like
if you-
5-6 games.
Let me ask you: if the Niners go out and start the season 2-4, does Garoppolo play?
No.
But that's the thing. I'm gonna ask you.
Bro, they have a championship roster. You can't miss.
And then what do? You play Jimmy G, then what?
Okay,
We
you-
know what
you
Jimmy
get-
G is.
you have a
He
chance
was
to go to the
fucking
NFC chip.
awful in the playoffs.
And they
He
went
was
to the
dog-
NFC
Let me-
chip.
let me-
team.
Joe, you played a
it's
game.
more of a
That's what
safety
I'm
thing.
saying.
Joe, you played a game.
Lance,
Let me now
is
play
Lance
a
gonna be
game.
that bad that Jimmy G wasn't
I
in the
don't
playoffs?
think so. Listen, I
and
think
they still won.
Listen, I believe in Lance. I don't think that opportunity will come. My point is, I'm living in a hypothetical right now. Let's say he goes and starts the season 2-4. The team realizes,
And he's
man,
not playing well.
We are not in a position where we thought we would be. Last season, with a worse quarterback, we made it to the NFC Championship game. Garoppolo has been the epitome of safe. Do we want to go and put Jimmy Garoppolo out there where we know our floor is a playoff team?
If you want to hurt his development.
But that's why this is a concern, because you already have. If I'm Lance, I have that idea that
You
man.
think Shanahan is thinking that as smart as he is, though?
That has nothing to do with what I mean, though.
It
My
has
whole
to, though.
my whole point is Trey Lance still understands that I have this guy in the back of my mind, because ultimately, if I mess up in any degree, he's right there to come in and take my spot.
Let me ask you. Let's play a game, Joel, because
Do
you
it.
know you want to play a fucking game. Is Josh Allen looking over his shoulder with Case Keenum?
Nope.
Is Tua looking over his shoulder with Teddy Bridgewater?
Probably not, but more than Josh Allen.
Okay. Do you think?
Yeah, duh.
Do you think that Tua's looking over his shoulder more with Teddy than Trey Lance is with Jimmy G?
No,
Say that again.
I get
Do you
exactly what
think
he's
Tua's
saying.
looking. Oh, okay.
Yes, that's an easy question.
No. Because Jimmy G has gone to a Super Bowl. He's gone to
That's
NFC
what I'm
chip.
saying.
That's
the
the
backup
concern.
quarterbacks you're naming, the starters aren't looking over their shoulders.
Well, yeah, Jimmy G's the best backup in the league.
Trey Lance, he has to prove himself week to week. And it's different from like another situation that a young quarterback would be in, because that, of course, you have to prove yourself week to week. But Trey Lance is now operating under the assumption that I have to prove myself week to week or I can be replaced.
And you know why they included no trade clause, right? So Jimmy G can choose if they want to trade him. What if they could trade him anytime up in the season? And now he has a much more movable contract.
Jimmy has to agree to whatever destination.
He does. And if he could go somewhere a quarterback gets hurt, he could go start. He'll probably agree.
Yeah, but he has leverage.
So do the Niners.
And let me ask you
One-year
this.
deal.
Huh?
It's a one-year deal,
yeah,
right?
he signed
It's a
through
one-year
this year. It's not a multi-year deal. He signed through this year.
One-year
The Niners, I understand what you guys are saying, right? Lance is looking over his shoulder because Jimmy G has had success with this team, regardless of his play. But from a front office perspective, what the 49ers are thinking, this makes the most sense.
They could have also cut Jimmy G, saved $24 million, and possibly explored the trade market further down the line in the season to acquire a big-time player.
They thought they'd be able to trade him. Why cut him when you think you could get a 4th-round pick?
Because you
for him?
could save $24 fucking million.
But you also thought that maybe he'd be farther away in his rehab process to trade him to get a pick instead of cutting him outright.
So let me ask you
Jimmy
this.
G was too good to just cut. That's
saving
what they said.
$24 million though.
I don't like.
That's a big time
I don't like
thing.
this move because Trey Lance now looks over his shoulder.
Correct.
I don't believe the Niners put their young quarterback in an uncomfortable position if he has been lights
Lock
fucking
up.
out.
Correct.
If he's been Justin Fields,
Yes, and played.
if Trey Lance has been Justin Fields, they cut Jimmy Garoppolo.